Thanks, Ed. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a good thing for the facilities, just have these automatic tours.
Yeah.
It's got a whole higher standard there, that's all.
So that's. That must be.
Oh,
Yes,
Yeah, pretty neat.
sorry.
All right, are we ready, Zoe?
Yes, you are recording, we are live.
All right, thank you. So I'll call this meeting of the Madison Public Schools Facilities Committee to order. It is 6:30. We have the majority of our meeting set aside for project updates from Bill. Do you want to get us started, Bill?
We'd love to. So I just have a list, I'm just gonna go over and I can get into details or just general overview. No order, I just wrote them down. The high school stage lighting, I think we've talked about this, the BL company did the design, helped with Colliers. And we have Consolidated Electric, who's doing the installation. Well, we're reviewing the, the plans, the submittals and ordering the light fixtures and anticipating summer installation. So that will be a very exciting project for the school. The lights are gonna be pretty amazing. So I'm anticipating a smooth construction project, and the contractor's someone we've worked with before, so very excited about that. Okay.
Are there any programs or groups that use the stage over the summer, like camps or student groups that are impacted by this?
So if there are, I don't know of them, but they won't be in there.
Okay, that's, yeah. they
So
would
the
have to
answer
be
is,
replaced.
I don't know of that, but we definitely scheduled it with the school, so they definitely know about it. And there won't be any activities there this summer.
They would have made arrangements
Yeah.
for somewhere else.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Polson lockers, that's a long time coming. That project's been on the list for years. We have the contractor set for months. They ordered the lockers. They are on their way. They should be here early, so we should have no problem with that project. We will not remove the old lockers until the other ones are either close or on site somewhere that I can confirm they're here. Because you never know. But I'm anticipating that good contractor, someone we've worked with before, or I haven't, but the person helping me with the project has. And very excited about getting that done for the Polson School. We did samples. I don't know if you've ever been in there. We did samples of like 14 a few summers ago, and they really like them, and they're very excited about getting the new lockers. The tennis courts, have been awarded. Hingding, tennis, they've been, local guy, Madison, went to school in Madison. That's his industry. He was low bidder. Very excited about getting that done. I think, he'll get it done this summer. I think it's always a tight time frame, curing and drying and, painting and getting it all done. I believe it'll be on time, and I believe it'll get done this summer. But, weather's a big factor, but we do have all the pieces in place. He's assured me he's ordered this stuff. He's on top of it. We're just finalizing some contract details, but I don't anticipate, any problems other than construction. We'll start right when school starts. We are changing it from 4 to 6, so there will be some tree removal, some grading. We did get our permits from the inland wetlands in the planning and zoning, so we're looking good there. So other things at Polson, we're working with the town, Sam DeBurr, our emergency manager, and Peggy on funding. We have $1 million funds available from this federal fund we received for the generator, but we definitely need additional money for that, and we're trying to figure that out. So that would sort of be the priority, I think, if we could get anything done. We're going to shoot for the generator, but it won't be this summer. It'll probably be following summer at best. Just to order the generator and electrical switch gear, and those are months and months out. So it's even going to be difficult for next summer, 24. But that's what we're hoping for. Any questions about the generator?
So just the balance. Tell us more about, like, what's the plan, or where would that, the town is
The town is looking for the funding,
Okay.
looking for additional grant and revenue resource, funding. Areas. I met with Peggy, I've been meeting with Peggy the last couple of weeks about different opportunities that we can look for funding for that. Definitely not looking for the school to come up with the funding at all. It's definitely the town's looking for the resources for that. Just sort of a side note, we do have, and it's part of my list here, is the $20 million we have earmarked for the Olson renovations. The geothermal system, right now we have the BL company looking at giving us alternative designs.
Yeah.
Part of that design is the generator, so it's all sort of together, although we pulled the generator out because we're trying to make that a priority. Figure out what really we need for funding. We have the $1 million, what else can we get, and can we order the generator? Because it takes so long to get it. But it's too tied into the electricals, until we decide. And I'll bring that to you once we sort of have a plan, because the transformer is the original transformer. It's out by the picnic tables area. There's a big green box out by the back door. When we replace the electrical system, we're gonna have to replace that transformer. At that time, do we want to move it to some other location? If we're gonna put a huge generator in that's gonna generate power for the school, the location I liked doesn't really work because it's behind that wing before the, if you're going into the gymnasium, I wanted to put it in that little grass alcove. Well, it's a loud piece of equipment, it needs ventilation. If you put it in there, it'll make a lot of noise, it's not a good spot, engineering wise. So we have a couple other locations. Once I have the details to bring to you, I'll share the locations that we're looking at. But it's gonna be, not very good looking. It's gonna make noise. There's gonna be changes to outside the school with the generator. Where's the best place and where can we tolerate it? Is gonna be a choice that we're gonna have to make. But more to come on that, but we're still finalizing the design, the preliminary design, still the heating and ventilation. We have enough money, the 20 million, to replace in kind what we have. But if we want to do geothermal, it's not, we don't have the funding for that, but we're looking for energy savings grants or rebate programs that we could get the up to 30 to 40% of the cost. So there's two programs that we're working out. I'm working with Stacy and of course Peggy as well for it's an IRA, IRS tax, usually it's a tax relief. And we've never been able to take advantage of it because we don't pay taxes. So the law changed that says we can get this funding, but it's brand new. So brand new means no one's done it yet. If we're counting on 30 to 40% for the project, we would need to be really sure that we're going to get that funding.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons it's taken a little longer to figure it out. And Stacy has connected me with our accountants who do our auditing, but they aren't tax accountants, they're municipal auditors. So you can understand it's not a smooth transition, but the company's huge. They have tax people, but they do mostly commercial. They don't do it. No one does taxes for municipal government. So once again, it's a bureaucratic process. I think that we're going to be successful. We just need to cross the T's and dot the I's. So I think we're going to get some funding for the geo, but we haven't figured that out yet. I think we're gonna get some money for the generator. Once again, this is outside the revenue of the tax dollars. It's revenue from other sources. So more to come on that, absolutely.
So what's the shortfall? So if we have $1 million put towards the generator, how much do we need for it? And then we have 20 million for the Olson. Ideally, how much would we need if we upgrade it, not just replace the top?
And that's the $10 question. And I will have that information in the near future. That's what BL company is supposed to give us, the three alternatives.
Okay.
The geo and some other ones with today's dollars and what we're gonna be short. And that's the question everyone asks, how much is the geo? And it's the wells, the installation of wells. Well, that's not an easy question because the casing that you have to drive in is so much a foot. and how deep do the wells go and how much casing do you need. We did do a test well, so we're pulling all those details together so we can have a really updated number. And I hope to bring that to you at the next meeting.
Okay, thanks.
So,
One of the questions and things I wonder about, Bill, is obviously, or maybe not obviously, the energy and infrastructure needs to convert to an emergency shelter, I would expect, is greater than obviously operating the day school. So, you know, upgrades and increased energy, to what degree does the school then, once those are in place, benefit from these energy expansions, or is it something that only kicks in when the place is being used as an emergency center?
well, we'll benefit big time when we lose power, and we lose power quite often. Since I've been here, you know, something happens, we lose a phase of power, and you know, half the school's dark. And it's not really perfect to have the kids and the staff in the school that's not fully powered. So you have to decide, can you make do for a couple hours, or do you evacuate the school? So all our backup power is just to get out of the building. This is gonna be backup power. Same with the high school. We have a generator, but it's only to get people out of the building. It's not to run and function. So this will be able to run and function. They'll be able to have school. But if only one person can have school, and it's happened before where we've lost power at a school and they couldn't have school because we didn't have power. You can't, no power, no school. So that will be a side benefit. It's not going to be often, and it's not a lot, but it does happen occasionally. So safer for the students and the staff, full power, heat, ventilation. So it's not a big, that's why we don't put them in, because usually when there's no power, there's no school for everybody and you can't really function.
There was some discussion as well, not maybe I had this wrong, but the town's work to put in the generator would also overlap with some of the electrical work that we were going to have to do our HVAC work.
That is correct. We were going to have to upgrade the electrical service anyways, because it's 1960 and we have 50% of the school is heat, ventilation with air conditioning. When we supply 100%, we'd have to upgrade the service. So to do that, we need to upgrade the service anyways, but we'll have to do a more sophisticated upgrade when we do the power, when we do the generator. You have to have a switching gear that switches over to the generator. It's pretty sophisticated because you understand how sensitive all that power is. It's a big power supply, and it can't be going back into the lines. So it definitely overlaps, but we just did general dollars and general costs per square foot. We haven't done an analysis, and that's what we're doing now. BL Company's updating that pricing, and Peggy's asking me, all right, how much more is it? Because the additional funding that I estimated was a square footage based on a company that did just a general overall review. So. Any more questions about the heating and ventilation project? And it's still it's gonna be years before we get that resolved. So to me, there's two projects that we're trying to move to the top forefront, and that's one is the generator, because the town can utilize that right away. We don't have to do maybe some major upgrades of electrical. Maybe we can get it going, just replace some of the electrical, get it going, and have it used for the school and the building if we need it. And then the second thing we're going to move on after we get the preliminary mechanical stuff is we need to do a plan for the auditorium. That's part of the $20 million is renovating the auditorium. And it was just lighting, seating, and just keeping it as is, but just improving from the original appearance of it. So I need to do an RFP and get a proposal going for that. An additional item at Polson, we got a lot of things happening at Polson, and it's a request for proposals for design services on the bathroom renovations. That's a huge job because the 1960 bathrooms, we want to renovate all those bathrooms. We need a really sophisticated plan. So I'm trying to put together an RFP to get those design services out. I just haven't got to it yet. It's on the list of things to do. Sooner or later, I'll bring you in the loop and you'll see it. And I'll have a schedule and hopefully you guys will be part of the selection committee, making recommendations for which company we pick.
Is that all the bathrooms in the school?
Yes.
It's a big project.
Good. So we don't have the funding to do the work, we just have the funding to do the design, finalize the plans, and then we'll phase it over many years.
Yeah.
It's all the bathrooms over many years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it, thank you.
So we have a lot of stuff happening with Polson. And none of these are, next summer or the following summer. These are multi-year projects.
Which means you have to stay around to see the bird.
I will always be here in heart and spirit. Brown School, which is this summer. Not much of an update, we're struggling with getting all the parts orders, all the material ordered. To make sure we get it done this summer. I'm still very optimistic. Still pulling to get everything ordered and ready with a schedule on when it's supposed to come. In today's world, unless it's here, I'm not really comfortable that it's gonna happen. So, that's just, every week we meet and go over that. We're trying to pull together some additional scope work that we're trying to do this summer too with the same contractor.
Is that Montreal?
So, it's Montfort.
Montfort.
JW Montfort. So I think I'm optimistic that we'll get everything done plus additional stuff. Once I have a schedule and a plan, I'll bring it to you, but at this point, it's too early for me to talk about the stuff we're not gonna do. I'm very confident that we'll get everything done that we already committed to, which is the wing, all the doors, in the bathrooms, the main bathrooms. But we're gonna look at additional bathrooms if we can. So the rooftop unit at the high school, the parts came,
Okay,
they got installed. Yeah, but I'm not confident it's working properly, so Trill's done to figure that out.
Yeah.
So. I was up there the other day and they had it off because they wanted to look at it again. The parts were big, so the cranes got there, all the parts got in there, all the old parts are off, but hopefully it's just some tweaking and readjustment.
and who's doing that work? They are, right?
Yeah, Johnson Controls.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're paying. I haven't paid yet, but we'll pay once they're done.
And it's working.
Yeah, when it's working, I'll pay, but right now, we committed to paying. The last thing I have is just a piece of information, we're still working with the town emergency management department and adding to our building for storage. Just like everything, the projects, funding doesn't look so good and we're trying to figure out how to get it done within the budget or we're gonna ask for more money. Just another project that's over budget. And we'll just either have to reduce the scope and make the building smaller or get more funding. I just went to the town for more funding on 2 projects, which were the 2 I just got more funding for.
Lighting and tennis.
That's right, lighting and tennis. And they both were over, last year, they did the same tennis courts, the guy who did it, he said, Bill, last year, I did the same tennis courts 100,000 cheaper. And he was a little bit.
Yeah.
He was a little bit, and the lights. Was
Lighting at Disneyland.
the lighting at Daniel Hand. Those numbers that I've done 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, and you put 4%, is just not happening. So every project that we do, I'm worried about. When we bid it out.
Mhm.
The only one that came in really well was the Brownsville.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
Okay.
yeah, and I guess it wasn't too complicated, it's renovations, mostly sheetrock and, lighting fixtures and some toilets. It was not a lot of major concrete or steel or
Yeah,
electrical.
But thank you for managing those projects and securing the additional funding, because I know it meant you had to go to a lot of different
Yeah.
meetings to
yeah.
kind of see that through, so thank you.
Yeah, it was worth it. I think they're both gonna be very successful projects. And they'll die on the vine. If we didn't get the funding, I don't know what we would have done. I think we would have regroup.
Hmm.
And we would have rebid it, that wouldn't have got done in the summer. So that was another, I think everyone agreed they wanted to get the project done and they wanted to get it done this summer.
Yeah.
Gotta move forward.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so Other than that, I think, the schools are doing well and, we're taking care of the schools. I don't know of any major issues. This winter has really not been non-existent. We've had some little ice here and there. But nothing, as you all know, is. Yeah. And it's March, so even if we do get a storm, it won't last. I have been here April 10th, we got 10 inches one time, but the next day it was all gone.
Right, right.
So we could get some snow, but the winter's behind us,
Mhm.
in my mind. And we're short, our funding's a little tight, but I'm sure we'll get through the end of the year.
Well, I think we'll take your word for it over Punxsutawney Pete or Phil or whatever.
What did he say?
He said 6 more weeks of winter.
Even if this is what our winter was like, it's fine.
Yeah, this-
Exactly.
Yeah, this is,
6 more weeks of mild winter,
Right.
okay.
yeah. I agree with the 6 more weeks of mild winter.
Mhm. We'll call it that.
Yeah, and this morning I got up and I knew there was no weather and I looked at my phone at 5 and says it's snowing. I'm like, oh my God, I ran outside. I'm like, it's not snowing. It must have a couple flakes somewhere. I'm like,
Somewhere, take a while we can,
I'm like, oh my God, it's snowing.
no.
No snow.
Is there still a plan in place for creating storage space for you and your department? We've had those kinds of discussions before in terms of additional buildings, or where are we with that?
Nothing that we're working on. The storage space that we're adding is for the emergency shelter. And emergency management and, they're talking about even putting vehicles in there for emergency purposes.
Okay,
So, not for me.
But is it on your building site there? or
Yes.
School, yeah.
Yeah, and the theory is that once they build their stuff at the town garage, where it's all supposed to be, that we'll get the space. Well, I'm thinking once somebody has a space, so the none chance we'll get it back, but it was, supposed to be for the emergency supply needed for emergency management, and they do need it, because we have now PPE, we have all this stuff we never had before. And taking over areas that shouldn't be in, and I think they want to get additional stuff. We're getting all these signs that, that they can move around that say, check this, seeing those emergency signs. I think that's part of the emergency management. We're just making space for them. We're not gonna manage what they put in there,
Okay. Any questions for Bill? Anything you need from us?
No, not this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
So do we have any public comment on Zoom?
No hands raised.
Okay. One person. All right, seeing none, we'll adjourn at 6:50. Thanks, everyone.
I didn't talk much about the new school, that was on my list, I don't know why I didn't, but it's offline, no big deal, it's going well, I think. It's going to the town, for permits.